Today is July 11th, 2024. We are interviewing Sheldon Seidman. My name is Esther Finder. Mr. Seidman's in Bergenfield, New Jersey. I am in Henderson, Nevada, in the United States, and the language will be English.
Pause the camera.
Thank you for speaking with us today. What is your name, sir, and can you please spell it?
Sheldon Seidman, Sheldon, second name Seidman, Seidman.
Where were you born?
I was born in a town called Rudnik in Poland.
When were you born?
May 14, 1939,
And how old are you now?
85 years old.
What was your father's name?
Jacob Seidman, but in Jewish, Yankel.
And what was his occupation?
He was a watchmaker.
And your mother's name?
Shendel Malya.
And what work did she do?
She was had a galanterie, how do you call it, for knitting, a store for knitting in Poland.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, one brother,
His name?
Morris,
Older or younger?
4 years older. I'm using the English names, but we call them Moshe, my brother, in Jewish.
Has your family been in Poland for many generations?
Many.
What do you know about your family history in Poland?
Well, they were watchmakers. My grandfather was a watchmaker. My father was a watchmaker. And my uncle, Leibisch, was a watchmaker. But after they got married, the uncle moved away out of the town. He was a very, very learned man and a very gentle man. He was a rabbi. And that much I know about the family.
What can you share with us regarding your family's level of religious observance?
They were Orthodox Jews.
Can you elaborate more what you mean by that? What traditions did you observe?
Orthodoxy. Orthodox. In America, it became more reform, all kinds of different. In Europe, there was only one thing at that time, Orthodox. Most of the little towns were Orthodox. Yes, there were some people who were not, but the majority in the little, it's called a shtetl, a little town, were Orthodox. The whole town maybe had 500 families, and there were 4 synagogues.
You were born in 1939, so you can only answer this based on what you were told, but what do you know about your family's experience, what your family went through when the Germans invaded?
They were saying that when Hitler came in, the German army came in, that people should leave the towns if you're 16 to 30, because they used to take them in the yard and shoot them, because 16 to 30, you're still young to fight or whatever. So they told my parents, to my father, he should leave. Because my father he was born in 1908. And he was 31 years old, that he should leave. So he took some bread or whatever, and they went under, Russia took half of Poland, and half of Poland stood with the Germans. So my father went on the Russian side.
By himself or with anybody else?
In the wagon was a rabbi, and while they were going to the Russian side, a plane came over and started shooting. There were going thousands of people on the roads, started shooting the people on the roads. So the man with the fiacre called the one who runs the wagon with the horse, you know. He told the rabbi said to pull over the horse or wagon, and the rabbi put on tefillin. You know, I'm talking about the tefillin, the Orthodox, and a talis. And he says, "Yankel, it's Mashiach's time. Go back to your wife and kids." My father went back, and the ones who went to the front further got killed. It's a miracle that we survived.
So your father came back.
Yes.
And what happened to your family as things started to develop? I'd like you to take me by the hand and walk me through what you know about what happened to your family, because you were a baby.
Yes. The Germans came into the towns, so we all left to the Russian side, the whole town. And the Russian side, they asked us to take a passport, Russian. My parents and my grandfather and uncle didn't want to take the passport. They thought if they're going to take the passport, they'll take him into Russia and never let him out. We didn't know how bad it was on the German side at that time. So we didn't take the passport. So even this is from God, that God wants us to live. The ones who took the passport, Stalin took them, left them in Poland, and the ones who didn't take the passport took them in as spies to Siberia. So the ones who didn't take the passport, completely backwards we thought, happened. Because we didn't take the passport, we were taken into Russia. The ones who took the passport, they left in Poland, and 99% of the ones who left in Poland, 99, 95% got killed.
Can you give me a time frame when this was happening, when citizenship was offered and the request was not taken? And you said you were shipped away. When did all this happen?
The war
broke
out September 139. So this was 40, something in the middle of 40. 1940.
Do you know what your family brought with them when they left the German side and went to the Russian side?
The only thing I can tell you, maybe a pillow, a cover, and not much more, because there was a little lake we had to pass by leg. No cars were going through. In the middle of the bridge were the SS or German soldiers, and we had to cross they opened.
I think we have to stop.
Okay.
Pause the camera.
I'll go.
Okay, we're back. We had a doorbell interruption. So you were telling me how your family got into the Russian-controlled part of Poland, your journey across. Started to tell us crossing onto the other side, and you said the people were guarding the bridge.
Yes, by crossing.
Something like that, and then the doorbell
I
rang,
don't want
so I
to.
didn't catch it.
I have to call them people, the Nazis, or who are the. I can't believe there were people. You know why? I can't believe a person would do this to a person. But it's something, you know. It happens. It seems it's life. Anyway, so crossing the bridge, they opened the diaper on me. Usually, if they didn't like, they went like this and you were right into the water. They threw the baby into the water. My mother was crying, please, please give him to me. That's how I survived on this part. To go onto the Russian side.
So they were the people who were on this bridge controlling passage.
Right.
Are you saying they just threw babies into the water?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
And
I don't know.
for no reason.
I don't know if everyone. The life was nothing, absolutely nothing.
Okay, so now you have crossed into
the
other
so-called
side.
Russian side of Poland.
And then what happened?
From there, since we didn't take the passport, since we have to go back. Since we didn't take the passport, they took us in Siberia. In Siberia, they gave us so-called work to do.
Okay, let's get to Siberia. How were you collected and transported to Siberia? How did that happen?
Honestly, I really don't know. How, by trains or whatever. Let's put it this way: if I would be in Siberia a day or two now, at this age, I don't think I'd live a day. The cold, and you don't have the clothes. It's not like in America. It's cold. You make the steam higher. It's hot. You put the air conditioner on. Make the air conditioner. There was nothing. There was no clothes. There was nothing. People got sick, and all kinds of sickness, and they froze to death, and starvation. Even Siberia too.
Okay, so you were obviously quite young, so I understand you don't remember how you got there. What are some of your personal earliest memories?
Probably in Jabul already. After Siberia, we were there approximately a year. They took us out of Siberia, and they took us to Jambul in Kazakhstan. Jambul is the town. Kazakhstan is the state or whatever it's called.
Okay, we'll get there in just a minute. So you have no memory at all of Siberia. What did people tell you about that chapter in your life?
I could only make one chapter that's really something. Like I mentioned, my father had one brother. And that brother was a rabbi, and he was a watchmaker. What kind of work did he do? In Siberia, they gave him a job to cut down trees. What does he understand about cutting trees? Well, it was a gentle, quiet man. And it wasn't like this day and age, you have the electric machines by hand. Anyway, they were cutting the trees, and they didn't understand which way the tree's going to fall. This was people, they never worked physically in their lives. So they ran to the wrong side, and the tree fell on him and broke all his ribs. My uncle. It's all kinds of stuff it's unbelievable. And he's the one, I know I could back up something if you want to. Before Siberia, when we were on the Russian side of Poland, my father the brothers didn't live together. My uncle didn't live together with my father. They lived in town. So when we gave it the Russian side of Poland, my father hired somebody and says, go to this town and look for Leibish Seidman, my uncle. He paid him. It was like a smuggler, whatever you call. He went back to the German side of Poland, and he says, I came back 2 weeks later, can't find him. My father gave him money again. He said, go find him and his wife. They had no kids. Second time he came back maybe a week or two later with the uncle, and so my father saved the brother's life. I just backed it. I told you about, broke the ribs, but my father saved his life before that.
So his ribs were broken. Did he survive that? What happened?
He survived. Matter of fact, he passed away in 1956 in Israel. Because when the ribs get broken, you can't put a cast, it has to heal by itself.
So you have no memory, no personal memory of Siberia. So let's move on to where your memories do start. Do you have any memory of going from Siberia to this new location? Or just your memories start when you're there?
In Jambul, yes.
Okay. Please share some of your personal memories from that place.
First of all, my father was a watchmaker. His brother, Leibish, was also a watchmaker. And they had to work on Saturday. If you didn't work, you went to jail. So what did they do? Each one had a so-called business. There was no gold or nothing, just to fix watches. So my father was in one place, his brother in the second place. Starvation with being a watchmaker was unbelievable. Lice, it's bed bugs. I personally took 2 showers in 7 years. Hot. Because there was no hot water. Water to heat the kitchen or whatever, food. I remember it like now. My mother following the cow was going, and he pooped. She picked up and put in the bag the cow dung. Came home, flattened it, and put it on a fence. In the morning, she cooked with that food. Stories like this, I can tell you a million. Even when we didn't have nothing, there was always somebody at the table eating by us. I mean, it's not like understandable, just the idea that the water was warm, and you were able to eat it. It's not like in America, you come in the soup is 80% vegetables inside or whatever you're eating, and 20% water. Over there is 95%, 98% water. There was something running around in the soup. It's unbelievable that I could sit here now in a house that, unbelievable. I have 8 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms in a house. It's just like a dream. It's unbelievable to understand it. Thank God, America.
What would a typical day be like for you in Jambul? Where exactly is Jambul, and what was your life like there?
I could only tell you, my mother had a job in working to bring water to the bakery. It's not like in America. You have a sink, you open the water, the baker has water, you know. Over there, you have to go to a well. And like you see it in Europe, in China, whatever, you have a stick at the back of you. You filled up 2 buckets of water, and you carried it like 2 blocks back and forth, 40 buckets of water for 2 pita breads, la ploshka. It looks like a pita bread. She got 2 pita breads. She gave me one and my brother one. And she ain't got nothing. I can even tell you about this working that my mother was working carrying buckets of water. They knocked the NKVD, like in America, FBI and that, like Secret Service, knocked on the door and said to my mother, "Are you Golda Zeidman?" Golda was my aunt, because we lived all in 8 people in a room. And we lived, my father, mother lived probably 4 feet by 10 feet. Another room. Like room and a half. That was the kitchen and everything. Anyway, they knocked on the door and they said, "Are you Golda Zeidman?" Why? You didn't go to work. Golda Zeidman was my aunt. The rabbis, the one who broke the ribs, they had no kids. You didn't go to work. So my mother didn't say that she's not Golda Zeidman. She's Shadel Malya. She didn't say. So she got 9 months jail. She didn't say that she's not Golda Zeidman. I mean,
when was this?
In Russia, in Jambul.
When?
In the 1943, 44. And we have stories that's unbelievable. People, we were at a bar mitzvah about 20 years ago and in Connecticut. And they called me up to light a candle. My wife and me were there. Bar mitzvah, you know, you light 13 candles. You know, the woman hears Shai Zeidman. This woman comes over and says, "Are you, your mother, Yankel Zeidman, Shadel Malya Zeidman?" I said, "Yes. Your mother saved my father's life." How? He used to invite to eat by us. Whatever was there, we shared. We shared.
Can you give us a kind of a sense of the geography, where Jambul is in Russia?
Jambul is all the way like Ural. You have Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all one next to the other. You should know, Russia, the people are nice people. The government was crazy. Stalin was crazy. But otherwise, the people are nice people there.
And what happened to your family when your mother was in jail for all those months? Who took care of you?
So-called this aunt. My mother said she had 2 diapers for me. That was it. Or this or that. In America, you have hundreds. You have throwaway diapers. This, that. It was a different world. She says, that's the way it was. Because we lived in that 1 room and a half, or whatever it's called, lived my grandfather, grandmother, Uncle Leibish and his wife. The one aunt wasn't married, that makes it 5. And that little hallway lived my father, mother, my brother, and me. And this was the kitchen, and the bathroom was, middle of the night was a potty, whatever it's called. And for bigger things, you had to go outside, like in a whatever it's called.
You mentioned you were living with all of these people. Were there other Jews, refugees around you, or were they Russians around you? Or both?
Both. The ones who had the property was the Uzbek. It's they look Oriental almost. We had, but I did. Everybody had the crampedness, the starvation. Everybody had it. I had typhoid. From what did I get typhoid? I used to go to visit my father in this so-called store where he fixed the watches. There was a little ravine, a mountain, and by the mountain was like and water used to get together there. Like, so people didn't have food, so whenever they passed water, they went down and they drank. And what did they use next to it? If they had to go to the bathroom, it's automatically, because you don't eat, you have your stomach you can't hold it. So people used to make not what you call I don't know. Instead of going to the bathroom, they did it right there. And you drink over here. It's not to understand it. You can't. It's unbelievable. But comparison to Auschwitz, we were on vacation. Comparison to Auschwitz, we had it good. At least by us, we were starving to death. But nobody was shooting us or gassing us.
Did the Jews well, you can't speak to Siberia, but did the Jews in your area, Jabul, have any idea what was happening to the Jews in Poland?
Not so much. Not so much. Why am I saying it? My daughter made me a book of my life. And my father is writing in a town called Tichin, that we lived. Actually, we lived in Ridnik, but Tichin, my mother had a house with her mother, and they used to write to them in Tichin, and go to this person. He owes me money. We didn't know. We thought that they had it good in Poland. We didn't know how bad this was. We were starving to death. When they were in Poland, they were getting starving and they were getting shot also, or gassed or whatever.
You mentioned that your mother was arrested and imprisoned for several months. Did you have any other issues with the Russian authorities? And I don't mean just you, I mean your family.
Not really, because everybody was scared to say anything. You were scared that your own brother is going to tell on you that you're not a communist or whatever. People were terrified. The NKVD, it was like unbelievable. In America, it's got the freedom. You could say anything you want. Over there, you couldn't say anything.
You also mentioned that you had gotten sick. What about the rest of your family? How was their health living in such harsh conditions?
They gave my father 1 year to live because he had, when he was 21 years old, he had rheumatic fever in Poland. But in Russia, let's say 1940, 41, they gave him 1 year to live because he got rheumatic fever and the starvation. He's not going to be able to make it. Surprise, surprise. He passed away in 1973. He got cancer.
How long were you in Jambu?
Till 1946. Approximately 5 years.
When did you leave and why did you leave at that time?
Poland made a deal with Russia to let the citizens out. And that's what happened. Matter of fact, when they let them out, there was trains. I know it was 4 weeks going day and night to train. It's not like fast. It was cattle carts. And one time, every time going back from Russia to Poland, the train stopped a couple of times a day. People should go off to the bathroom or whatever, the train. A Polish woman came over to the train. I remember this like now. And he says, people, he says, I'm an old woman. Come, I got to show you. There was a mountain. He says, she saw people getting shot and thrown into this pit. And it was covered. He said for 3 days, this mountain was going up and down. Or was breathing, or they were alive, or was gases from the person. The mountain was going up and down. I mean, these stories like this, even in Poland, I saw people getting beaten up. There was pogroms. In Poland, there was pogroms. The Poles thought the Jews are coming back to take their houses back. They got killed. I saw people getting whipped after the war.
Let's clarify something with this mountain that was moving. Who were the victims?
Who else? She said,
please tell me.
Oh, these were Jews. They were Jews. They were taking in like this. I heard about what happened to my grandmother, uncles, aunts, cousins. They were taken into a town, Reiche, from a town called Tichin. Deported, not far away, maybe, I don't know, 10 kilometers. They were taken in there to a certain concentration camp. And from there, they took them into the forest and they shot them. Same idea what happened with the train. These were Jews just taken into the fields, they shot, and just covered up with some dirt. That's it.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the pogroms that you just mentioned?
Yes, there was a few, in one town alone, there was over 200 people who came back to that town, and the Poles killed them. They thought they come back for the property, and the Poles killed them. But I know there was a market where they were selling fruits and vegetables. And I personally heard, ow, 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 I don't know, ow, or whatever. I don't know the word they used, oi, or whatever. I went over to see there was like bushes. And the other side, I saw a man getting whipped with one of those very long whips. It was a Jew. That was after the war in 1946 in Stettin, not Tichin, Stettin, the town. Because we were there in Stettin 4 months.
Where was the town where they killed so many Jews after the war? Do you know the name of that town?
No, I don't. It was definitely in Poland. Because my mother, she wanted to find out if anybody survived from her 8 brothers and sisters, her mother, first cousins, uncles, this, that. Nobody, she came to the town, took a train to Stichin, not Tetchin. It's very close to the name. She got off the train, and she looked on the floor. These tombstones were put on the floor by the train. And over there, she knew that there was no stones there. She looked down, the Jews or whoever, Jews, they put the tombstones up, so she saw the names and stuff like that. She got on the train, she left the town. She saw everything's gone. The cemeteries were gone, everything was gone. I went back maybe 8 years ago. They denied. The house is still standing there. I have a picture you said I could make 10 pages or so pictures. It shows the house, the way it looked. And right now, the post office in Tichin is there. And they can't say it's not the house because the way it's cut, I went in there.
I need some clarification on something.
Okay.
You had mentioned.
Hold, please.
You want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, we're back. And I wanted you to clarify something that you had just told us. You mentioned tombstones that were, I guess, used as paving stones for people to walk on.
Yes.
Are you telling us that those were the stones from the cemetery? You said the cemetery was destroyed, but not from the Jews that were killed under the Nazis? Or can you clarify that?
They took not only for the paving stones for the floor. This may say the tombstones. Tombstones called, right? I must say
the gravestones.
Yeah. And they use them for the kitchen counters and stuff like that too. But they don't put it with the writing up. They put it backwards, downwards, or so you don't see that it was tombstones. But on the street of where the train stopped, the people who put it down put it with the writing up.
Do you remember returning to Poland? You said something about the trains, the cattle trains, and they took a while. Do you remember that journey?
Yes. That was one journey where I said that Polish woman came over to the train and said about the little mountain, the mountain that was going for 3 days up and down, like breathing.
What else can you tell us about that journey? Who were the other passengers? What do you remember from that trip, other than what you told us?
Two things I could tell you. We were going on the train station, and I don't know, it was Leningrad. Leningrad it's called St. Petersburg now. I think Leningrad, it's called St. Petersburg. The train was passing. And when the cattle car, it's open. I remember like that when we came to the train stations, that it didn't stop at the train station. It was kept passing, and German people were working there. And I, like a kid, I screamed out to the Nazis who were working. They were prisoners of war. Hitler kaputt, Stalin good. I got a bucket of milk poured on me. It's true. And one more thing, my uncle Leibisch, the one that I told you that broke his ribs, he got off the train and he went to the bathroom. And my aunt Golda, and he didn't come back. He must have took a longer time, whatever, and the train started going. And they left him. I mean, he couldn't stop the train. He finally caught up somehow. How he got caught up, I don't know. But he was left in Russia on a train stop or whatever. And he got back.
So when your family came back to Poland, how long did it take them to realize the scope of the genocide? How many Jews were gone?
I will tell you one thing. When I get to Berlin, I will tell you.
Okay.
We were 4 months in Poland till we paid off somebody to smuggle us into to Germany, Berlin.
How did you get into Berlin?
A smuggler.
But how did you do it?
My father hired somebody, and a truck, and the smuggler had, I remember like now, a gun. It was a Jewish guy. And we got to the border. In that truck was 8 people or 10 people. My grandparents, my uncle, and my brother, me, my aunt. We were crossing the border. Before we got to the border, he says, in Jewish, nobody say a word. If they let us through, the border, probably pay off or whatever. Okay, otherwise I might have to shoot him, the Russian guard. Anyway, he let us in, but paid off or whatever, and we arrived in Tempelhof in Berlin.
Where did you stay? Were you
A DP
on your
camp,
own, or were you?
a DP camp in Tempelhof. There was barbed wire around it, and there was an entrance into the camp. We were there for 2 years, from 46 till 48. In 1948, there was a blockade. The Russians blockaded Berlin. And they blockaded, they took us out from 1948 from Berlin, they took us to Munich by plane.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a minute. I want you to tell us about the conditions in the DP camp.
Compared to every place else till then, it was terrific. There was food. You could take a shower. The only time in Russia I took 2 showers, and both times it was a banya. It was like a Turkish bath, you call. The whole family went in. My father, mother, and I fainted both times because the body I wasn't used to hot. It's like if you had just a little soup, it was warm. It was a big deal. And over there,
so
yes.
The DP camp. Were you able to start getting an education? Were you able to start practicing Jewish traditions? What was your life like?
Traditions, even in Russia, you were scared of your neighbor. The percentage-wise that you have now in America, that's 15% religious. Over there, probably it was time of war. A lot of people gave up on religion, but we kept it, even in Russia. Now, what you said about education-wise, actually the education till 11 years old, very little, till I came to America, which I came in 1951.
Were there only Jews in this DP camp, or were you mixed with other people?
In Berlin, I think there was only Jews, but when we came to Augsburg, Lechfeld, it was mixed.
Is there anything else that stands out in your memory about your time in Berlin that you want to share with us?
As a kid, yes, which I want to bring out since I was in Berlin, and good you brought it up. There was outside the gate of the DP camp, there was a store that was selling. Here, this is going to really get you. It makes me still. I'm sick even talking about it, mentioning it. They were selling soap, Juden rein Seif. That means clear Jewish soap. They melted down the bodies, the fat, whatever. I can remember even the soap. It had little still black. Jews went outside. They saw it. They bought up all the whatever I put together the money to buy up the soap. And then they buried it. I know I'm saying it. I couldn't imagine it, but I personally saw it. The idea bothers me. Not only the Nazis, but how could the Germans buy it?
You mentioned a little while ago, you were telling me when you got to Berlin about learning the scope of the genocide.
Yes.
So now we're in Berlin. Can you share that now?
Just this little part. Even at my father used to go and how did anybody eat? You had only food that the American government sent, I don't know, the packages or whatever to eat. Everybody went to try this. They had a shirt. They tried to sell a shirt. Or it was gehandelt. It's a Jewish. You were really dealing to survive.
But the genocide, what happened to so many Jews? You said that was in Berlin that you learned.
Over there already you bought pictures. You actually saw pictures of the killings. The Germans made it, it was copied or whatever. It was a business. As a matter of fact, you're not going to believe it. I think my parents had a whole bunch of pictures from that. I threw them out. I burned them. I just couldn't look at them. What people did to people.
Now, you mentioned that Berlin had been surrounded.
Yes.
And you went out of Berlin
to Munich.
To Munich by air.
Yes. There's the American government by airplanes and took us to Munich.
And then where did you go? Was this, you mentioned Lechfeld. Is that now Lechfeld?
No, from Munich we were driven to Augsburg, another town, closer to Lechfeld, to the and from Augsburg we were driven to a camp called Lechfeld. That was 1948 till I came to America February 1951. The shocker, America has the doors open. I'm going to bring it today. We had to wait 5 years to let us into America. 5 years. And people had to sign for it to let us in. This day and age, you want to come in, the door's open, you come in, and you're set. You get food, you get everything to be in America.
Well, tell us about your years now in this other camp. What were the conditions? How did they compare with Tempelhof?
It's more or less the same thing. People try to wheel and deal, sell clothes, You had a ring, you sold a ring to this guy sold to this guy. It was like no big money, you know. The rich jeweler was my father. When we came to America, we had my father, the family, we couldn't get out of the Hayas. You know who the Hayas is, right? The Hayas?
Hebrew Immigrant Aid. Yeah.
Yes. We couldn't afford to get an apartment because people coming from the Korean War in 51, and we didn't have the money to schmear, to pay off $1,000, $500 to get an apartment. So we were in the Hayas for 4 months.
Let's first get you from Germany to the United States.
Okay.
How did you travel?
By ship. A matter of fact, I have a copy of the papers that when we arrived. We arrived in February 1951. The ship was General S.T. Sturgis, a troop carrier.
Do you remember what your expectations of America were at that time? What did you think you'd find when you got here?
You find money in the streets. In comparison to what we had, if you find a dime, I was in 7-7.
And what were your first impressions of the United States?
I'll never forget it. The ship arrived maybe 5 o'clock. So they didn't take us off the ship because it was a troop carrier till next morning. They started to take it wasn't Ellis Island no more. Ellis Island, I think, was stopped in 49. We came 51. And disembarked, and we came to left Lafayette Street in Manhattan. Lafayette Street in Manhattan. Between Esther, Lafayette, and Esther Street, there was the Hayas.
How were you received by the American people?
By the Hayas?
No, by the American people.
The American people were okay. The Jews who lived in America, came 20 years before, called us the Grüne. Yeah.
Why? What does that mean?
We're green, a color green. Like the Russian ones who arrive now from Russia, they say to me, Sheldon, why they call us Russian? I said, what do you worry about it? They called us greener. So, and it's funny, the Russians who came here 20 years ago, they made it. We came, I'm here already 73 years in America. And thank God I made it. And the family.
Did you experience any anti-Semitism when you got here, or any anti-foreign sentiments?
If you're Jewish and you don't accept something, you got to accept it. And so I had a fight. They could say Jew or something, so I had a fight. And I made sure that I used to come out of the winner, 99%.
So you said you started getting an education seriously.
Yes, that was.
Tell us.
We moved in
Please.
after 4 months to East New York. East New York, not the East Side, Brooklyn, East New York. It was at that time the murder capital of the United States. If you didn't know how to fight, you were beaten up. It was a different world. Everybody was poor, and nobody knew he was poor. Because I didn't have a fan, the other guy didn't have a fan. We were 3 years in America till we got a fan. Because my father and mother sent every week a care package. You heard about care packages, right? A care package to his mother in Israel, in every second week to his brother and sister. So $10 a week, I'm sorry, $20 a week went to Israel. And we paid $55 rent. So from the $30, I think my father was making $50 or $55 a week. $30, $35 was for rent, food, and everything. And thank God, I went to yeshiva. Froze. Oh, yeah. Oh, it moved. You was froze for a second. The picture. Okay. So thank God, I went to yeshiva here. But after school or before school, I worked I was 11 years old. I put out the goods in front of the store, the hardware store. And at night after school, I went to Blake Avenue for another quarter, and I took the stuff into the store. So I made 50 cents a day.
What were some of the challenges that you and your family faced when you got here?
First of all, we couldn't speak English. But one lucky thing, in East New York, it was like a ghetto. I say the ghetto because the people who lived were all European. They didn't speak too much English either, even though we had 20 years. So we got along. My father got a job in S. Klein on 14th Street and Union Square. He was an S. Klein department store watchmaker. As soon as we came, we went to work. Even me at age 11, 12. After school and before school, and my brother was 16 when he came, right away went to work.
Can you tell us briefly about your professional career? And then I'm going to ask you also about your family a little bit. How did you, for the most part, how did you make your living in the United States?
Well, I from age of 12, I worked in the hardware line. I was welding trucks. I was cutting material, 500 high, for shirts and blouses and stuff like that. I wrestled for money. I did a lot of stuff. And I worked in the jewelry line. In the end, I landed up in real estate.
You married and had a family. You mentioned your daughter. What did you tell your family and your neighbors about your childhood? Did you speak freely or were you reserved?
My parents hardly talked. The ones who went through it, they hardly talked. Because if they would bring in all the headaches and all the starvations and all, they know they lost, like my mother lost everybody. My mother lost, in that town, everybody was taken into Reiche from Tichin. They sent them to a concentration camp and took them into the forest and shot them. My grandmother, uncles, aunts, cousins. In my father's place, Riddick, the town survived, more or less.
You mentioned that you had some family in Israel.
Yes.
Had your family ever thought of going to Israel?
Oh, yes, of course. As a matter of fact, I have letters from my uncle Leibish, don't come. We're starving. We're living in tents. Tents. As a matter of fact, we bought already, I don't know if you, how do you call it, when you go camping, you pump up to cook like a primus, it's called. Yeah, how do you call it? I remember it was red. We were going to Israel. He called.
Like a camp stove?
Yeah, like a gas stove. Yeah, like how do you call it when you go camping? Like that's all we had. So this Uncle Leibish, he wrote, "Do not come, do not come."
I want to ask you about a couple more contemporary things. Would you like to comment, please, on your reaction to Russia's attack on Ukraine? And what memories did that bring up in you?
Russia was 1,000% wrong. It was a free country. You asked me a hard question. It's a very hard question. And I'm going to be shocked. I'm not that much Ukraine. I don't know how to vote now for the election. Democrat, I can't. Republican, I can't. One guy's crazy, and one guy's losing his mind. So, first time in 70, no, it can't be, but 65 years, I'm thinking not to vote. I'm sorry, I have to take a minute again. I have to stop.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I have to stop.
I would like a break.
Break.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're back, and let's talk for a few minutes about October 7th and the increase in anti-Semitism. Can you share your thoughts?
Honestly, it reminded me, in America, since I'm here, February 1951, I never felt like that, the way it's gone. They're letting people going crazy here now. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe it's America. And this is the best place to be. In America, what's going on, can't believe it. They're letting... Yeah, freedom of speech, I understand. No problem, demonstrate. It's okay, it's America. It's freedom. But the graffiti and the fighting now, they're going crazy. They're going crazy. Honestly, what I personally believe, jealousy. Yeah, it's jealousy. I don't know.
Can you elaborate on that?
What?
What do you mean by that?
It's not so much financial. We came here, anybody comes here who wants to work could make it. Maybe because we have maybe more push, and we made it. If you look at the Pulitzer Prize, 25% of the Pulitzer Prize are Jews. And we're 0.0.0 or 0.1 of the population of the world. I'm just saying, I don't know. I am shocked. I can't say more than that.
Is there anything that we have not talked about that you want to share?
No, the only thing I want to share, I say thank God for America. Then I came here penniless. And whoever thought about surviving? I got married, I have kids, I have grandkids, I have great-grandkids. Thank God. It's a wonderful country. I wish the Second World War never happened. I wish that discrimination would never happen. And that's why I believe Am Yisrael Chai.
What does that mean?
More or less, we Jews should live forever.
What message do you have for future viewers of this interview?
Like I said before, I wish this would never happen. I wish for the world peace. Instead of spending money on killing each other, spend the money on people who haven't got. Like the soldiers that come back from in American war, that they have no legs, no feet. They have to go on television, beg them to they should have housing. Why doesn't the government help them out? The American government. I'm talking about America, of course. I'm an American now. I'm just saying, if there's money for war, there's money for peace.
Thank you for speaking with us today.
All the best. Thank you.
Sheldon, would you please introduce this woman, please, for us?
This young lady is my wife for 57 years, Pearl Seidman. And she gave me Kanina Hara, four children and grandchildren. And she gave me great-grandchildren, Baruch Hashem, thank God. Pearl Seidman.
Hi.
Or would you like to say a few words?
I'm a child of survivors myself, and I lost a tremendous amount of family during the war. My parents met after the war in a DP camp and got married. Their story and their lives is something, as I get older, that I think about more and more and more. And of course, it's impacted my entire life in every possible way. My husband's experience of the war was a different one, but he also lost a tremendous amount of family. I never knew grandparents. Grew up with so little in the way of material things, but that's not the important, with traumatized parents. And thank God I could say that Jews are resilient people, and my parents struggled, but they overcame, and they raised their family in America, I could say, successfully, and ultimately they were successful, never forgetting and never recuperating from all that they experienced in their lives. And my husband's also impacted so much by his early childhood and upbringing and what he was deprived of. But again, I want to end that the Jews are resilient people, and our history is one of ups and downs. The period of World War II was one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating one in our history. And we still came out of it. And we still did well. Unfortunately, the world is again going into a time of darkness. And anti-Semitism is rearing, shall I say the old phrase, its ugly head. And people like us who have come from our background, we are very traumatized from this situation. Our families went through so much, and we were happy here in America, and life was good, and we didn't experience anti-Semitism growing up. And now to see this happening again is a horror. My husband used the phrase, Am Yisrael Chai. I will translate it as the nation of Israel lives. And we will live, we will survive, we will thrive, we will overcome all the challenges and all the hatred that we see in the world today. It's unfortunate that it's so, but I end by saying that we will survive.
Thank you. Thank you both. Can you tell us, please, about this picture?
This was taken before I came to America in 1951
And where was it taken?
in Lechfeld near Augsburg, the camp,
In what country?
Germany.
And that's you.
Yep, that's me.
And there's your name. Thank you. And please tell us about this picture.
This is my grandparents from my father's side. It was done separate pictures, which I took and I put them together. It was black and white, and I had them colored, and like they should look like one.
Do you know when their pictures were taken?
This was done in Germany, probably in 1948.
And could you please tell us their names?
Well, my grandmother's name is Rochel. She became Seidman, but she was Rochel Schwartz Seidman. And my grandfather, it says Nehemiah Shmuel Seidman.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about this?
No, she died in 1953 in Israel. He died in 1949 in Germany, and I took his body out from Germany cemetery, and I took him to Kiryat Shaul cemetery, the bones. My brother and me. We went back
In Israel.
Yes, but we took the body out and flew him out, and unbelievable. I was sick for maybe 3 months after I did it.
Thank you. Can you tell us what we're looking at now?
Yes, this is a picture from Augsburg, Germany. My uncle Leibisch. That's Uncle Leibisch.
Don't point, please.
Oh,
Just tell us left or right.
Upper corner, right, left, right, whatever.
okay. Upper corner left side is the same person that on the left side bottom corner. Here when he was younger, on top, he was older. He wrote to my father in America, and in Israel, of course, before we went to America, don't come to Israel. Do not come. They were starving. Then in the right hand corner, that's his wife. That's Golda Seidman, and the picture on the right side on the bottom is when they're going on the truck to leave to Israel.
And where were some of these pictures taken, including the truck? Where were they taken?
In the DP camp in Augsburg, in Lechfeld.
In Germany.
Lechfeld. And the picture to the left corner, in front of his jewelry store, that the store must have been, I don't know, maybe 18 inches wide. It was in Yafo. When you look at this picture, Yafo was, you could have bought half of Yafo for nothing. Now, Yafo is Tel Aviv.
So that one was
Yafo.
taken in Israel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please tell us about this.
This is my grandfather and grandmother from my mother's side. I took 2 pictures. It was black and white. The only picture I have from my grandfather on the left side was that picture. It was in black and white, torn apart, and I had it redone. Kalter grandparents, my mother's grandparents, my mother's parents. Pearl Schendel Kalter, It's my grandmother and my grandfather's Shaya Kalter.
And do you know when these pictures were taken?
Definitely, he passed away in 1933 in Poland, and she was executed, murdered, one wanted to say, in Reichenau Ghetto, on the forest.
So the pictures were taken in Poland.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you tell us who these people are?
Okay. The one to the left is my aunt. Sitting to the left is my grandmother. The little boy is one of my uncles. The one standing with a bow on the hair, you're not going to believe in a million years. She knew how to read and write 7 languages.
Can you give me the names of all the people that you're introducing? What was her name?
Wait, I think Libby. Yeah, underneath it tells you. L-I-B.
Okay,
Can you
continue,
imagine?
please.
7 languages. In Poland, people couldn't write a letter. She knew how to. She was murdered. Oh, the one sitting to the right is my mother. It was my mother. The up standing is one of my aunts. Everybody in this picture got killed except my mother.
And when was this picture taken?
I think she was 16, probably in the 1920s, early 20s, 100 years ago.
And in what country?
Poland.
And I can't see it from here, but all the names are clearly printed
Clearly,
there?
every letter.
Okay, thank you. Please tell us what we're looking at now.
You look at my aunt and uncle and an uncle. It was taken in Tichin in 1928. I mean,
And can you
separately.
please give their names even though they are written?
It gives you it starts off with Babli Malya's brothers, Rachmiel Kalter, and his wife, killed in the war, Tichin, 1928. One of his
Oh,
brothers.
that's when and where the photos were taken?
Yes. No, yes, in Tichin, 1928, yes.
Okay, and that's Poland.
Yes.
Thank you. And who are these people?
These are my mother, the second one from the left, and 3 of her sisters, all killed in the war, except my mother. Thank God.
And their names, are they printed below?
Clearly.
Okay, and
It,
when and where was this taken?
I look at the picture, my mother maybe was 25 here. She was born in 1902. So probably 1928. I'm taking a guess.
Okay, and where was it taken?
Poland.
Thank you.
You should know my mother could never live. She always had complaints. This one was prettier than her. This one was smarter than her. This one was better than her. Why did she survive and they didn't? Why? It sounds crazy. I know what I'm saying. She couldn't enjoy nothing.
Can you please tell us what we're looking at now?
You're looking at my aunt with four of us, with a husband, with four sons she had before the war. It was from Tichin, 1938. It gives you the name and the her name, the kid, everything is written out straight.
Okay, and it's from Poland.
Yes,
Thank you.
They all died in Russia.
Can you tell us what we're looking at?
This is the one in the color. I'm standing in front of it. Is the house that my mother built in 1918. She was one. She told me she was carrying bricks. It was my grandmother's house. It's the post office right now in the town Tichin, and here's the same house on top, the way it looked before the war.
And all that is explained in the text below?
It's explained on the left side.
Okay.
See on the left side there, the print? I don't know what's going to come out.
I can't read it from here, but that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And please tell us about this.
This is they gave me a week in like, how do you call it, like a day camp? Not a day camp, sleepover for a week, like to recuperate. You know, that's it. That's the only picture I got from Berlin.
And give me the names of the people, please.
My mother to the right, and the little guy on the tiger is me.
And your name, please.
Oh, Malya. My mother was Malya, Malya, and Fixit Zaidi is me.
Thank you. Please tell us, who are these people?
To the right was my father,
His name?
Yankel, Jacob Seidman, my father. The short guy is me.
Your name?
It wasn't Sheldon, it was Shia.
Okay.
My mother, Shane Lamalya. My brother, Morris, Moshe.
And can you tell us when and where this was taken?
It's written down here. I'll give you the whole. This is probably in Berlin, like 1948.
Thank you. And can you please tell us about this?
This is the last picture taken in Germany right before we went on the boat to America. It was in February 1951, before we went into the Hayas. That pin, the round pin, on all of us, is the Hayas pin, the lapel.
And please give us the names.
Names, my father, Yankel, Jacob, me, the little guy, Shia, Sheldon, me, my mother, Shane Lamalya, Peril, and my brother Morris. Not Peril. Wait, my mother is, how do they call it in English? Amelia.
Thank you. What are we looking at?
It was a time I used to go to the gym, and I used to lift extremely big weights by hand and with my teeth over 400 pounds. I was in good shape.
Can you give us your full name and tell us when and where the pictures were taken?
Probably 1963. It says here in the Brownsville Boys Club, and I lived
In the
in
United States.
the United States, Brownsville.
And please give us your name, sir.
Sheldon Seidman, the English name.
Thank you.